Okay, so I'm recording this now. So when we finish, I'm going to try to save it and then post a link into the class somehow. I've never done that before, so hopefully I can make that happen. Some of you have unmuted everybody, but it looks like some people maybe don't have a microphone. So if you have a question, you may have to use the chat feature. So I'll keep watching that. So if there's questions, and everybody should be able to chat with other people in the meeting. So I'm just going to hold a few things up in front of the camera, my camera, real fast. The first thing is going to be the instruction sheet. So it's the stuff that has the red items on there. It's 2 pages. So we're going to talk about this in just a minute. And then there was a Word document that had the homework. It said homework 1 at the top, so you can see that. And then I believe there was 5 sets of data in that. And it went from 1A to 1E. And then I didn't print the other items off, but there was a Excel using Excel for hypothesis testing independent samples. And then there was also one for dependent. So we'll talk about all of these items. Okay. So any questions about what you probably need to have out in front of you? Either verbalize it if you can, or shoot me a message if you need to.
Is it
okay? So I'm going to start with. Go ahead.
Sorry, is it okay if we have like I have the homework printed out, but that second one that the first one you held up,
yeah, if you can just pull it up.
Yeah, is it okay if we just have it up on my computer?
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So someone just asked for me to repeat what you guys need to have out or need to be looking at. So the first one is the using Excel. So it's a 2-page document, and the stuff in red are videos that teach you how to do things. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is just the homework that goes along, and that's a 3-page document, and it has 1A to 1E. And then I didn't print this, but I have it on my computer screen. There's 2 different files, one that says using Excel for hypothesis testing independent samples t-test, and then one says dependent samples t-test. So there's 4 things that you need to be able to look at and talk and ask questions about. So I'm going to start with the instruction sheet first. And basically, I started at the top of that with how to even put the data analysis tool pack onto your computer. So if you have Excel, you may or may not have the tool pack actually available to you. So you may have to put that on. So I would watch that. And some of you guys may be able to help others. I know in the past, some students have had a little bit of problem if they're using a Mac instead of like I have a Dell. So I don't know about that. So you may, if you're having trouble, you may have to reach out to the help desk someone here on campus, or if someone has some information, they can type it in, I can relay it to everybody. But the first thing you have to do is you have to make sure that you have the analysis tool pack function in your Excel on your computer. So any questions or comments about that? And again, there's a video, the very top video shows you how to put that on. And I know if I can do it, you guys can do it, because I'm not super technologically able to do many things. So, but that's on there if you need it. Does anyone know anything for your fellow classmates if you have, or if you're using a Mac and you do Excel? The only thing I would say,
if you have a Mac, you can use Excel. I haven't tried getting that data analysis tool pack yet, but usually if you Google how to get the data analysis tool pack on Excel on a Mac, then usually something will come up.
Okay. Nick or Julian, did you guys have anything to add?
No, I have a PC, so.
Okay.
I just pulled up the video, and that's why I probably heard that. So.
Okay. The other thing that I would say is, like a lot of things, don't wait till Tuesday morning to try to start working on this. Try to start today, and then if you have some problems, that gives you this afternoon, and then I don't know if the help desk is available over the weekend or not, but just try to start working on it today if you can. Okay, so if you have this physically pulled up, I would take some notes on it. Essentially, starting after that very first video, pretty much all the way to the end of that page is just how to do a few little functions in Excel, and most of this is the graphical display of data. So if you look through that, it talks about bar charts, column charts, pie charts, line charts, and then the very bottom one is just a review of several different functions. Someone already asked this, and what you're going to turn in on Tuesday, with one exception, really doesn't require that you do a lot of this, but it's on there because this was some of the first stuff we did in class when we talked about graphically displaying data. So I went ahead and put it on there first. But if you look at this, where it says how to create a frequency distribution in Excel, that is, you are going to have to do that. So if you want to watch some of these other videos now, that's fine, but you definitely need to watch the one on creating a frequency distribution in Excel. And then if you notice on the top of the second page here, so to go to the top of the second page, and you'll see some things that are, the first thing is highlighted. So what I try to do in this instruction document is provide the information and then guide you into when you should be able to do homework, and the data sets for the homework are right here. So mentally, again, I would watch the video on the frequency distribution, and then the first thing you're going to do in terms of homework is take the data that you see here, and this is from homework 1, the first set of homework we did back in January. You'll put that data into Excel and create a frequency distribution. And so there'll be data somewhere in your Excel file, and then probably out beside it somewhere, or maybe even below it, depends on how you set it up, will be this frequency distribution. So there will be Excel output, and I'll talk about what to turn in a minute, but it is going to be this output. Someone just asked for the histogram and frequency distribution, what are our intervals? And you can use you can use class interval size 10. So for this data, the lowest one would be 0 to 9, and you might want to write that down. So for this data, class interval size 10, which means the lowest class interval is 0 to 9. And just looking at this real quickly, I think that 47 is the highest number that we see there. And so that means the highest class interval will be 40 to 49. The good news about this is you created by hand a frequency distribution using this data. So you can always go back and look at what you did in homework back in January for what you did. So any questions about completing homework 1A? And so again, at the top of the second page, that's the highlight. I'll read it to you. It says complete homework 1A now. So that directs you into that Word document that actually has the data. Any questions about the first output you're actually going to create in Excel? Lucas? Nope. Okay, I don't see any questions, so I'm going to move on. Underneath where it tells you to do homework 1A, you'll see that the next video is how to calculate measures of central tendency and variability. So again, you'll watch that video, and then you'll go back into the homework. At the bottom of the first page, you'll see 3 sets of data. Again, this was homework from the work that you did by hand, and you're going to calculate measures of central tendency and variability for these 3 different tasks. So this is at the bottom, 1B is 3 different sections or 3 different test scores. And so you'll use what you learn in the video to calculate measures of central tendency and variability in Excel. So what I would do is, once you're starting to do the Excel work, open up Excel, put the 1A data in, and then there, somewhere in that file is your output. Then you're going to watch the next video, put the test scores in from the homework, and then somewhere on that, you're going to have the output from the Excel, from what you've actually learned in the video. So let me pause right now and see if anyone has any questions. Either say them or type it in.
Are we supposed to do all the homework like in the same Excel file, like each one on a different sheet?
Yeah, you can do it that way, or you can just keep doing down. But you know, and she mentioned something that, depending on how much you know about Excel, when you open Excel up, you're in a sheet. But then at the bottom, there's a plus bar, I believe, and you can add different sheets. So if you want to do 1A, 1B, 1C, do each of those in a different sheet, that's an easy way to keep things organized. And then eventually you will save that Excel file, and then that is what you will submit next Tuesday. Let me see. Okay, I think I already yeah, someone just asked, should we put each 1A, 1B, 1C as a different sheet in Excel? That's fine. Or if it's just in one file and I can just scroll down, whatever you kind of feel comfortable with. But I will, if I don't see it by scrolling down, if I don't see your work by scrolling down, I will definitely look for different sheets so that I actually see your work. Okay? Any other questions about essentially this first page of the homework?
How long do you expect it will take us for each part?
I think it's very individualized. I mean, these videos are 5 to maybe 10 minutes long. What I have found in the past is that some people have a lot of experience with Excel, and some people have a lot less or zero. So it's hard for me to say because it just really depends on you individually. Someone else just asked the question, what time is the homework due on Tuesday? 1:00 p.m. So we're going to stick with that 1:00 p.m. on Tuesday, mainly because that would be right after the 11:10 class. So you're kind of hopefully used to doing things on Tuesday. And so I kind of just set everything up, the 3 homeworks you've done so far, and then these next 2 Excel files or Excel things are due at 1 on Tuesday. Okay. All right. So the next thing that you're going to learn to do is, so this is right under where it says complete homework 1B now. Is there a question? Nope. Okay. So the next thing you're going to do is learn how to calculate Z-scores and T-scores in Excel. So again, on the video sheet, there's a video for that. And then, as it turns out, the data that you used in 1B is the same data that you're going to use in 1C, but now you're going to convert those raw scores for each of the tests into Z's and T's. If you have kept up with your homework, you still have it sort of in front of you. This is just walking you through everything we did by hand. Now we're just doing it in Excel. Again, now with pretty small groups of people, so 8 or 10 scores each, knowing that in the real world, it's very likely we would have many more scores than 8 or 10. So any question about completing homework 1C? Even if you can't use the mic, use the reaction at the bottom. Everyone give me a thumbs up if you remember how to do T's and Z's vaguely. But it will be that you get lots of thumbs up. It will be that you will use the mean and standard deviation from 1B to write the formula to calculate the Z's and T's in 1C. Okay? The next thing that you're going to do is calculate percentile scores in Excel. And then you're going to use, again, the data from 1A. If you look at that side by side, you're just going to continue to use that data to actually calculate percentile scores. So if you recall, golly, this would have been probably the second day of class, maybe. We talked about how the cumulative percent column in the frequency distribution is, those are percentile scores. So there is going to be, you should recall a connection between the frequency distribution and the percentile scores. Someone just asked, I got several questions. Are we having another exam or final exam? No, once we went online, I just went to, without that optional final, and then a question, are parts A through E due on Tuesday? Yes. There are, all this Excel is due on Tuesday. So you have a little bit to do between now and then. Any questions about calculating percentile scores? And now we're going to go to page 3 of the homework, because the last thing that this document walks you through is how to create a prediction equation and correlation in Excel. So again, there's a video for that. I would take a few notes about this. Be sure when you go to put this correlation data in, that when you put it in, you put X where it's asking for X and Y where it's asking for Y. In the past, some students have gotten that backwards, and then the correlation is going to turn out the same, but the prediction equation, the slope and the intercept get goofed up. So just pay attention when you're watching the video on how to do this, that you actually, when you go to do it, you put the X column where it's asking for X and the Y data where it's asking for Y. So just be careful about that, or your answers may be a little off from what they should be. So any questions about creating a prediction equation in Excel, which also will spit out the correlation coefficient in that? So for A through E, you'll watch a video, input some data, do some calculations, and I want to see the calculations that you actually do. Throughout all of this, again, all of this homework is homework that you've seen before, you've done by hand. So if you want to go back and look at what you did, I'm assuming most of you probably hung on to your homework, or you have it in your notebook or a folder or something like that. So any questions about these first two documents? Let me ask you a question. Would it be helpful to you for me to have this due at 11:59 on Tuesday night? Give me a thumbs up if that's helpful. Okay, here's my arm twist. Twist it. Oh, you twist it. Okay, 11:59. I'm going to give you till the end of the day on Tuesday night. But this is the homework, these Excel things, you know, you pretty much do them, you get full credit. People have lost some points because they haven't done all of the work. So just be sure that you're completing all of this. And it's for this case, it's an easy 20 points. So just, you know, this is like a completion thing. You know, if you only do the first 3 questions, then your grade is going to reflect that. So if you're thinking about doing this and each of A through E is on a different sheet, there actually are going to be 2 more sheets because I do want you to do the independent t-test and the dependent t-test work. I did not, I'll show you this, I'll move the camera. I did not print off the independent t-test and the dependent t-test work, but here is the explanation for independent t-test. If I can get this to go back up there without getting goofed up. There we go. Okay, so without me not reading that to you, when you saw it, and if you're looking at it at home, you'll see the red YouTube videos at the top. So, you know, watch those, and it will walk you through how to put your data in. Do take some notes, and I will send this also out in an email because I want to make sure everyone hears this. And we have about 28 people here, so in the 2 classes combined, we probably have about half of the students, which is fine. This is totally up to you to come or not come. But I would write down for the independent t-test work, when you go to do it, use independent homework 1 data. So you just finished with that stuff on Tuesday. And I will write this out in an email, but for independent 1, watch the video and then input independent t-test 1 data, and then you're going to calculate essentially t observed with or for that independent t-test 1. And again, you'll have the answer there because you just did it. And then on this document that I have pulled up that I didn't print, it also walks you through interpreting that data, so you can read through that. But a lot of that should sound and look familiar to you. And then on the dependent t-test instructions, really all I provide you there are a couple of videos to use to watch that or to see how to do that. And then you'll use dependent t-test 1 data to do a dependent t-test in Excel. And you may be wondering, well, why didn't I just put, you know, all the instructions in that 1 document? Depending on how the semester rolls out, there have been times after we've had the second test, we started on this early Excel work then. But when we came back from spring break, we were fully going online. I kind of changed it up, and I think if you look at our original schedule, you can see that some Excel work was interspersed in there. So traditionally, we have done some Excel work earlier than now, but I just decided not to intersperse those 2 things together. So another question, will you be dropping any grades before the end of the semester? You go back to probably the email that I sent with the revised schedule. Before spring break, you had 4 quizzes, so I'm only keeping 2 of those because I had told you I would drop some, so I wanted to be true to what I had told you. So I'm going to take your 2 best quizzes before spring break, the 3 homeworks that you have now turned in. This assignment is 20 points, and then you're going to have 1 more Excel assignment that'll be worth 30 points. So your final grade will be the 3 test grades, 2 quizzes, 3 homeworks, 2 Excel assignments.
I had a question.
Yeah, and let me just also comment before a question. You know, there was some really super high grades on the test last week. I mean, there was some people who made hundreds on one or both parts, and then some people who maybe missed one question on one or both parts. So I really appreciate you're working hard to get that done. And I'm assuming that you're here because these have been helpful. Thumbs up. And I'm asking this too because I teach this online in the summer, and I've never really done stuff like this, but I think in this class in particular, it's helpful. So I probably, based on your performance and you showing up for these, I probably will do some of this during the summer. So, okay, questions?
Okay, so just to clarify, I understand what you're saying. So we should have 1A through 1E, and then we should have 2 more sheets for an independent and dependent t-test. And for each of those, we're using question number 1 on the homework that we already did?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so for A through E, I gave you the homework, but this is just homework you did back when we were actually doing this by hand. And then when you get to independent and dependent t-tests, if you want to put those on separate sheets, that's fine with me. That's probably the easiest thing to do, honestly, but you're not required to do that. But for both of those, use independent 1 and dependent 1 data when you actually go in and complete what you learn on the video. And what you're going to see the output for that, you're going to see a T observed, you're going to see a T critical, and then you can make a decision on whether you would reject or fail to reject based on the Excel output.
And is all of the Excel homework due on Tuesday, or just 1A through 1E?
All of it.
Okay.
A through E and independent and dependent.
And we're using, for dependent and independent, it's 1A that we're using, correct?
No. It's go to the homework you just did for the test on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that said independent 1 and there was some data. That's the data.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you don't want to use 1A. That's 50 scores and there's no groupings there. So you got someone help me out because I'm not looking at it. I mean, I have it. I can get it out of the file. But independent 1A, was that males versus females? Does anyone have it there? Someone's shaking their head. Yeah. And then dependent 1 was either test 1, test 2, or pre-test, post-test. I don't remember how I labeled it, but. Someone else just asked. Okay. Well, someone asked if I can send an email about your grades. Actually, I think it's in the original email I sent. I'll look and see, and I can resend that. But it's 2 quizzes, 3 homeworks, 2 Excel, and your 3 tests. And that will be out of 400 points. Someone else asked, do I want you to do all states listed out for the independent dependent t-test? No, this is all Excel output.
And it's this question, right? The first question of the independent t-test?
Yep.
And we're using that for
Correct.
independent and dependent, or just independent?
Independent uses independent 1, dependent uses dependent 1 data.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would, write that down and, either on these instructions or on this homework, or maybe you even print it out. I didn't print that out, but independent t-test, use the independent t-test 1 data, dependent t-test, use dependent t-test 1 data when actually producing this output. And again, I will extend the due time to 11:59, but don't dance around that. Do not dance around that deadline. Okay? Get it, make yourself a personal goal of having it in by 10 p.m. or something. I don't want you to email it to me. it may seem like it's kind of like, why is she so, why is time so important? It's important. It's important you do your work on time. So your bosses will expect that. My bosses expect that of me. We can practice that as students, I would say. Any other questions? If, in the event that you start looking through this stuff and we need to jump back on Monday, I didn't do this yesterday because I had another meeting that got put into our class time, but I probably don't want to wait till Tuesday to jump back on if we need to have another Zoom. I probably honestly will not walk you through how to do this in Excel. The videos do a great job of that, so just watch them, take notes, and I think, students in the past have had no issues, no problems. And I think there's a diverse number of teachers. So you're going to have some teachers from England and Scotland and South Africa and the U.S. But they're pretty good videos on how you actually complete this work.
I had a question.
Okay.
I don't know if you're going to be able to answer it or not, but when I'm putting the intervals in, for some reason, when I put the interval 10 through 19, because that could be a date, it's like thinking that it's a date. But then when I try to change it, like format the cells and change it to either general or number or something, it's turning it into like a big number, like a decimal, instead of 10 through 19. I didn't know if anyone knows how to like get around that.
I think I have had that problem before, but I don't really, I think what I would do is highlight the whole column of your intervals, and maybe from the beginning, start with them as being general numbers. I mean, I'd have to go look at the list of even potential.
Like highlight, change the cell type, format it to text.
Text.
Oh, okay.
I think that will do it.
I think you can just re-enter the number also.
Okay.
I think you have to keep changing it back unless you format the cell to text, or put like the apostrophe before the numbers. But I don't know how that messes the test.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, I got another question. Yeah, so independent and dependent t-tests are also due on Tuesday, including 1A through 1E, yes. So if you're putting everything in a different tab, that's going to be 7 tabs. A, B, C, D, E, independent, dependent. So how's everybody doing mentally? Still hanging in there okay, or struggling a little bit with the uncertainty of life as we used to know it?
Is there somewhere already on eCampus to submit it in case we want to get it done like today?
No, but I will do that. I haven't done it yet, but I'll do it today. I'll do it when we finish this.
Okay, just making sure because I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I hadn't done it, and I'll probably just put it at the top of the course material, right under where the revised syllabus is. So it'll be, once you get in that folder, you'll see it right away. It'll be at the top. I'll make sure it's at the top.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. So you guys, let me hear from you if anything comes up. And again, I have every confidence that you can do this. It'll just take a little time because these are, I know, new concepts to you. But you've done it all by hand. So I think what you're going to find is, and in fact, if you were in class when I would have you bring your Excel in and we would give it a hug, because we like to use Excel to do things that, if I had 40 people, I don't want to do all this stuff by hand. And Excel is the way that you can understand the concept because you did it by hand, but then have Excel actually do those calculations. So Excel is our friend. And then what we'll do next, I'll have to find out sometime on next on the next Wednesday, I have a faculty meeting, but if not next Wednesday, probably next Thursday, we'll do another one of these, and I'll talk to you about that very last assignment in Excel. So any other questions, comments? So I do want to hear from you. I mean, I think our department head has reached out to all of the faculty, you know, to reassure us and to make sure we're reassuring you. I know you've gotten a number or a lot of emails from our advisors. I know they're doing the best they can to help everybody. And so we all just have to be patient and positive and know that this will be over and we'll get through it. And we just all are, you know, doing the best we can with where we are right now. So I will stay on. If anyone has other questions, please type them in, or please, if you have a microphone on, ask a question. So I'm just going to hang out till I'm the last man standing. Someone just gave me the peace out. I think I was staring at someone's ceiling the whole time. For some reason, they didn't want their face on there. Any of you guys have any questions? Everybody good?
I think I'm good.
Okay. Thanks for having your camera on. Only about 4 people had their camera on.
Of course.
But that's okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
So you're good with like every like homework being like a sheet, like on the same Excel file?
Correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, that's the best. So the best thing is either start at the top of the first thing and then just add stuff going down a file, or do number 1 in the first sheet, B in the second sheet, D in the third sheet, like that. If I don't see it going down, I'll know I'll see all those sheets at the bottom. So you should be good.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, no problem. All right, you too.
Thank you.
I'm working on a report. I'm working on a 60-page report. So yeah, I'm gonna have a great fun today.
Oh,
Okay.
gosh. Well, good
It's
luck
been
with
hanging
that.
over my head since February, and we were hoping, we're like, oh, please let us postpone it. Please let us postpone it. Nope, it's due.
Dang.
That's all right though. It's keeping me busy and not bored.
I guess that's good.
I don't know. I have a stack of magazines at home. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll get to those this summer. We did have a meeting about the report, and I am doing better than the other people. So
That's a pat on the back. That's good.
Bryn's been helping me. So, all right, you guys let me know if we need to meet on Monday.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. All
All right, y'all stay safe out there.
right, you too. Bye.
Thank you. I'm going to end.